always.
What do you mean? That's unlike you.
I just got to try not to bring up anything NBA.
It's going to be hard.
Well, we are at the end, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. That's true.
Hello and welcome back to Sports for Dummies. My name is Josh, joined by John and our special guest, Harley's Sports Talk. Today, in this episode, we're going to jump straight into a comprehensive AFL discussion, our predictions, and a big 2024 year to come for the AFL. So, guys, how is everyone doing?
Yeah, good.
Good, Josh. Are you very excited? This is going to be our first thing talking football. Obviously, we've been doing a lot of NBA, being the NBA season, but excited to do our first piece of content on the sport that we all love, AFL, and it'll be good to see everyone's predictions. I think most mad football supporters, by themselves do, like a ladder predictor who's going to win the Brownlow and such, and yeah, we had a really good 2023. So 2024, there's been some changes to, fixtures and how the league's going to keep going. So, interested to see everyone's thoughts and smack it down when they're wrong.
For anyone who hasn't know who we follow, I'm an Essendon supporter. Johnny, who do you go for?
I'm a blue bagger.
And Harley?
Richmond.
So we're all really,
we got the big clubs.
Yeah.
we just love going to the footy with one another and yeah, not really.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
We've literally never done one of those things.
No, God, no. Where do we want to get started, guys? Harley, how's things going? You've got anyone who's not following yet, jump on Harley's Sports Talks.
Yep.
Talk. That's talk, yes.
Yep. I think if you search either one, it will come up, but that's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's the focus on that one at the moment? I know you're doing a heap of NBA.
Yeah, currently doing some NBA stuff. I've got a few segments that I've sort of got rolling continuously, which is your slept on stat line of the night, where I find a stat line from a lesser known player. Just
Very cool.
I wouldn't even care if 0 people watch that. I just enjoy doing that, to be honest with you guys. But I hope other people do enjoy it as well. But once the AFL season sort of rolls around, it'll be a lot more AFL until maybe the NBA finals, because I find the tail end of the NBA can sort of be a bit of a drag. And then because everyone knows the finals are coming up anyway, players are getting rested, so it's not as relevant.
Yeah.
And the AFL will just take over.
Do you find, well, we do, NBA is pretty fast paced. It's really hard to track.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Just because it's day to day.
Yeah. Find the time to watch 10. How do you does anyone find the time to watch 10 games?
No,
in
absolutely
a day?
not.
It's not happening. So we are excited. We're here for the AFL. We've already broken the streak of, as we said, going on. About not talking about the NBA, we're already talking about it. So we're going to jump straight into it. We go through the predictions. We're going to go through, we've got 2 AFL ladder predictions. We're going to go through our gut feel. So it's going to be, Harley's going to go first, then we're going to have John, and then we're going to have myself. Now, gut feel is more where we genuinely think it's going to be, and then obviously the AFL predictor, which we actually jumped onto on the AFL website, which they've got there. So we went through game by game, and it's just... yeah, our biased opinion. Would you add?
It's an interesting process because you have your gut feel, which is not looking at any of your games. I mean, you can look at, I guess, how everyone's draw is, but it's really, based on last year where you think, teams are going to improve. But you're really just putting, the teams on a piece of paper, while the ladder predictor is a lot more in depth. You actually go through game by game, you pick the margin. I think I'm the only one who did that.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't do that.
It throws out your percentage.
How long did you take on that, Johnny?
Yeah, it would have taken
I did it before this, about 15 minutes.
Jesus.
Dude, it took me 15 minutes to choose the teams.
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes. I know who's playing.
I reckon it would have taken maybe about 20.
Yeah, it didn't
Without
take
the
too long.
margins.
But it's interesting to see the differences between the gut feel and then when you're picking game by game, obviously there's going to be some little biases there. So generally, for mine anyway, the ladders are pretty similar. There might be one there where it's like, yeah, okay, but that makes sense.
I think I was the obsolete one. I think I've thrown some absolute shockers in there. But let's just recap the year that 2023 was. It was a pretty good year. Pretty good to see Collingwood get up, take the premiership. As much as I don't like them, they were a team that really connected. They gelled. They just have a very in-depth, like a very good squad.
They've got the best game plan. They've got Craig McRae as a coach.
What a belief
they've got arguably the best, second year, well, he's third year player now, of all time, and just their game plan, their slingshot from halfback.
Yep.
Like they're a very rare side, and they're an interesting side, Collingwood, and we will get to it. But they leave teams, they give teams a chance to win. It's very rare that, you look at their finals. I mean, they just beat Brizzy by a kick.
GWS by how many points? One or
four?
Four?
Well,
Yeah.
was it one?
I think it was
I
one.
thought it was
Yeah.
one.
It was
Yeah.
a Toby Green mark on the line.
Yeah, that was the difference, really.
That was the difference. So they didn't dominate anybody in terms of, by margins, but they just kept winning. They've got this ability to win and come from behind.
Just the mental strength that they had.
Mental strength. And it's an interesting this year, and the AFL should definitely market at this. The race for 17 premierships. You got
Huge.
and they're all set perfectly. Collingwood going for the best team. Carlton haven't been this good for 20 odd years. And Essendon are the weakest one, but God, they've gone for recruiting. They're definitely trying to be involved.
Yeah.
With the additions of Ben Mackay and Todd Goldstein, so they're trying to be involved. Whether that comes, well, I guess you'll see our opinions.
But yeah, I reckon. Do you guys reckon the grand final was rigged at the end? The umpiring calls.
One of the worst calls I've ever seen in a grand final.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think this was for Collingwood as a whole during the final series, but I think this does happen with the bigger clubs. They were kissed on the dick. If you watch the GWS games, the amount of calls they got, obviously the Brisbane game, go watch it. You can dissect it. It's pretty obvious, especially that last call. But it's happened to all the big clubs.
And that's not to hate on Collingwood as well. We're not just saying that just because we hate Collingwood or anything like that. I think it was just
Collingwood.
it was quite just. I think it was just there. To be honest, I think they were just especially the one that was called advantage. I mean, what kind of advantage do you have when you're kicking a ball over your head like that?
I couldn't believe it. It was in that point in the game. That's where normally the umpires let don't blow the whistle. You kind of just let the game free flow.
But mind you, though, Darcy Moore's spoil was quite good as well.
Yeah,
that was still in play, and taking nothing away from Darcy Moore's spoil, that was unreal as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
and in terms of grand final, it wasn't as so the game before, GWS Collingwood was a high defensive game, a lot of pressure.
Yep.
The Collingwood Brisbane game was far the opposite in terms of it was an offensive spectacle, which is not what you normally get on grand final day. But from an aesthetic to watch, it was fantastic, and it really showcased the skills at the highest level of our game.
For sure.
And the Brownlow, it was pretty cool to see a second-year player, Nick Dacos, coming in. I think he ended up fourth or something like that.
He would have.
He would have taken it out. He was out for four.
Yeah, he missed a month.
I actually had him as my Brownlow projection at the start of that season. Yeah, last season. Yeah,
I did. Big call.
Yeah.
How was his brother Josh getting up in the BNF?
Yeah, BNFs are a funny one, aren't they? You can have guys like a Nick Dacos do so well, but then Josh comes through, and it's the same thing when Fife won the Brownlow. I mean, Aaron Sandilands won their BNF that year. You just get things like that from time to time with clubs. It's interesting.
Think they vote differently.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, during Geelong's run, I think Gary Ablett only won one or two BNFs.
Yep.
They vote it very differently, and obviously that who they voted. It's voted by the coaches and the staff. How they might not just look on pure performance. What were the moments in that game that that was benefited the side. It's a different thing
for sure.
All right, we'll jump in. We're going to go to Harley's AFL 24 Gut Feel ladder.
Here we go.
All right,
let's jump straight into it.
Starting with the top four, you got Collingwood, Port Adelaide, Brisbane, and Carlton. So Carlton obviously.
Jeez.
Or Port Adelaide, I have high hopes for, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
Port Adelaide, I believe, this is their time.
Is it back when they? What year was it when they were winning all their premierships?
They won one.
They won the one, yeah.
They've only won one, haven't they?
And that was the Brisbane era.
Well, they made a prelim in 2020.
Who was it? The guy who was the coach who pulled
Mark Williams.
Mark Williams. Yeah.
That was great. Yep. That was great.
That was another time when they were there, but they just never quite got there. And then they finally made a grand final and they won it.
That team was superb, though.
It was very good. And I believe that this team at the moment, so 2020, they made a prelim, lost to Richmond in a great game, defensive game. And they had a lot of young guys in that game.
Which year was that?
2020.
Oh, that was
unbelievable
over in Adelaide.
Game. It was, yeah. Yep.
Shocking weather.
So Connor Rozee was in that game. and he wasn't even a midfielder at the time. Like there's a lot of guys that are playing now that were playing then that are so much better now. Like a Zach Butters, for example. They've got guys like Ollie Lord who could break out this year and have a huge game. And Charlie Dixon didn't really play a lot last year, or even when he played, he wasn't really at the highest level. And I'm not the biggest Charlie Dixon fan, but I can appreciate the fact that he can create a bit of a sort of presence in the forward line. And then just the recruiting they've done for the defensive line as well. So they've brought in They've brought in Radigalea, and they've brought in Zerk Thatcher as well. So they've just created great ruck stocks. And then they've also brought in 2 ruckmen they haven't always been the best ruckmen, but maybe together they can really sort of push themselves and push for that number 1 spot. Ivan Soldo is technically a premiership ruckman. So I think they were really great additions at Port Adelaide, and I actually really have high hopes for them. And I think they can genuinely finish in the top 2 this year and possibly even number 1.
Do you reckon they'll get up? Actually, no. We're going to go through our comprehensive. Whoever wins the granny and takes out the premiership.
I can't wait till my letter comes up.
Yeah. Anyway, I think you did your top 4.
Mm-hmm. So top 4, that's out. Yep. So top, I guess 5 to 8. You've got GWS, Melbourne, Adelaide, St Kilda.
Yeah.
So Adelaide, obviously the big movers in that. They come into the 8. I think they were coming home relatively well, and they have a really well-balanced side, and I think they can genuinely push for the top 8 and potentially win a final.
So I have high hopes for Adelaide.
Yep.
Like very high hopes.
They've got a very potent forward line.
Yeah.
They do.
So Taylor Walker obviously leads the charge, but then, you got your Fogartys, you got your Thilthorpes. I hate saying that name. Makes you sound like an idiot. Guys like that coming through. And then...
who is it, Rankin?
Rankin. I believe Rankin could potentially push for an All-Australian selection
100%,
as well.
100%.
Whether he does or not, but I think he has the ability to be that sort of small forward.
Yep. He just needs, if he's super consistent through the year, he'll get there.
For sure. He's already shown so far that he is a decent player.
Yeah.
And could potentially do it. It's just a matter of consistency now.
Yeah.
And then if you've seen any of my videos, I hold Jordan Dawson in quite a high regard as well.
He's a gun. He had such a good year.
Yep. So I believe that he is, in the top few players in the league. And their midfield outside of that's pretty good as well, like your Rory Lairds and stuff. And even like Ben Keys, he was great at finding the football, but he actually got pushed out of that midfield because they wanted guys with better disposal efficiency. So Adelaide last year were actually the number 1 team for efficiency going inside forward 50. So, it was because they took guys like Ben Keys out of that midfield and created, so like Dawson went in there.
Yep.
And then they started, you could see it from early stage to towards the end of the year, they changed their efficiency going forward, and it sort of reflected on sort of the end of the year, and they were playing a lot better football.
Do you reckon they'll get up and make it to the... do you reckon they'll get past the elimination finals?
So if it fell like this now to be against Melbourne, which the Melbourne Demons have their own demons in the finals, so
not only that, they've got a lot of cultural issues, but there's some.
I want to hear Harley's thoughts on the Melbourne. So for everyone anyone who doesn't know, Harley hates Melbourne.
I do.
Out of all of the clubs.
Why? Go, give it to the... I want to understand.
All right, so... where do I start?
It's a long story.
When I was a young fellow, I was an apprentice. I used to work for a company, and there was a particular person. I'm not going to name him because that's a bit rude, but I should, but I'm not. They used to really sort of give it to me for being a Richmond supporter at the time. Richmond weren't that great at the time, and they used to talk about how good Melbourne were. So I don't know if you've ever had a workplace or a friend or someone that just talks about their club so much and tries to belittle your club. It creates such a hate. And I don't think it's just me. I think that's across the board. A lot of people would have that sort of feeling as well. And I also, when I was quite young as well, probably when I was like maybe 10 or 11, so my uncle's a St Kilda supporter. And I love footy that much. I'd go to any football game, honestly. Like, it doesn't matter who plays. Yeah. I was a St Kilda member from 2008 to 2012. So
it's good. It was a good little.
It was a great era.
Good little period.
If you look back at Richmond too, they weren't very good. So at least I was seeing someone win. And me and my cousin used to go to the football a lot, and we went to a St Kilda Melbourne final, and there was some Melbourne supporters in the crowd that they weren't very nice, put it that way. And it just sort of reminded me of so over the time I've just always remembered that and just sort of had a hate for him, and then. it was funny. The person that made me hate him from who I worked with, they said that they hate Richmond for the exact same reason.
So
Because they went to a Richmond game and the Richmond fans weren't very nice to them.
I'm
it's
not-
interesting
I
how it's a full circle.
I thought you were going to say that because you were picking on him.
Nah, I genuinely don't until that sort of started happening in my life. And now I just genuinely... don't get me wrong, I appreciate a lot of Melbourne players. I love Max.
Sure.
I love, Track, Clary, lesser extent. But I can respect their players, but as a football club, I despise them.
What do you think of Oliver?
At the current situation,
Yeah.
it's interesting, isn't it? So
I think AFL players have this level, this standard that the AFL keep them to, and I think they can't really have any pleasure. And if they do, it's if it's seen off field and it's impacting the culture, that's just like it's frowned upon.
I think the problem with Clary as well, though, is even before all this stuff started happening, he's got quite a bad sort of reputation as far as his attitude's concerned. Like,
Yeah.
for example, when he first came into the league, John Ralph wrote an article about him, and I'm not really the biggest John Ralph fan. So in this article, I didn't even read it. And I just said, John Ralph doesn't know what he's talking about. And it turned out to be an article about Clary Oliver, and Clary Oliver actually commented on it and asked me why I said that. So this is before he'd played a senior game, and I seen his name come up, and I thought, that's a bit weird. Like, why does anyone care so much? And then I sort of clicked in the article, saw the name, saw his name, I went, and then it was genuinely him. And then I've heard some stories after that he's pretty notorious for doing that.
Yeah.
He obviously stopped once he became a bit more in the AFL and became a bit of a bigger name.
Can we just say the obvious? One of the biggest, where I've already broken it, the NBA players, Kevin Durant, gets on the media and absolutely gives it to them when their opinions are posed.
He has burner accounts.
Yeah, that's
Now,
yeah.
I guess it's a different level. He's at a different level of success in his career and the amount of, career accolades he's got.
The fishbowl of Melbourne, though, being a AFL player in Melbourne, like it's
big.
It's big.
You get a big head from it. So, I
thought it was
get
going to
what you
move.
mean. I get what you mean about the attitude. I haven't looked that far into the situation.
Mate, he is an absolute star.
He's
agree.
very good.
It's not his
so
performance
it's
ability.
interesting to hear
That's the thing.
It's interesting to hear the attitude comment, just because he's not the most he's not the quickest player on that. Like he actually works hard. Like he can find the ball better than most. The way he's able to create space with his hands.
I'm thinking more off field though.
Yeah,
his attitude
it's not
sort of
off-
it's carrying
not
over
off field.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes people have to take accountability for themselves. You've got a really good situation. Now, I'm not judging, don't know the ins and outs. None of us really do, because
We're not
that's
there. We're not
someone's
that-
life.
yep.
But, I mean, come on. You've got everything.
Do you reckon there's a touch of arrogance about Melbourne though? Like the fact that they did win that flag when they won it. I think everyone just they won the next 10 games after that next season. I think they were basically premiers then again, and then they sort of fell away.
I was very disappointed in. So that final series, I've looked at it. I think it's the third highest finals winning margin, like an average. I think Essendon 2000 was number one, and I think potentially the Hawks the Hawks only won. There was the second biggest winning average margin in finals games. That was, and the way they did it, they just destroyed sides. And then the first 10 games they were awesome. I was thinking this is a dynasty club.
Definitely. I think we all did.
And they haven't lived up to it. It was interesting. Stephen May came out after at the best and fairest. He said, we're better than Collingwood.
Yeah, better list, all that stuff. Yeah.
And people were giving him shit for it. I think they were taking it the wrong way. He was saying, we are better than them. We can beat them. We should be doing better.
Yeah.
That's how I took it.
Yep.
I think there is a bit of arrogance to him. It'll be interesting to see whether
Pressure's been put on him now though.
But I think
So-
that's
For saying
important.
that, yeah.
Just
I
for
think
saying
that's-
it, yeah.
I think that's great though. Like to
Yeah, you
go
wanna
out
hear
in the
it.
media, well, not the media, but to say it and say like straight up, hey, we're better than that. We're better than this. We are a better team.
As a
than them.
supporter,
You would
for sure.
love that. And not even as a supporter, you're putting yourself out there to say, hey, we've got to risk it. You're going to talk the talk, now you got to walk the walk. He's put the pressure on the team, and I think it's great because they'll come out, maybe they'll have all things firing. Or
We've got the
maybe
list.
not. Yeah, you got
For
the
sure.
list.
the
So,
list.
Yep.
yeah, it is what it is. But
Yeah, I still have them 6 though. So I mean,
don't
it's a
they're
slight
not
drop.
they're not even
Yeah.
that close for me. So
Yeah, there you go. So that's the 8, and then we were talking a little bit about this off air. So there is with the ladder, there is sort of brackets as well. So you could have it 1 to 8. 1 to 4 could be in any order, in all honesty. But I'm giving you my projection, and this is what I'm going to go with, but wouldn't be surprised if there was one or two.
It's interchangeable.
Of course, yeah. So coming in at the next positions, you've got Essendon, Sydney, Geelong, Western Bulldogs.
The demise of Geelong, finally.
Yeah, I think it will happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think midfield is not quite there anymore, as far as you've got your Dangerfield, who's obviously a step behind now.
They're old.
They're old, basically,
old,
yeah.
that's
And
it.
then you've got Hawke, who's going to be, I think, 36 at the midway point of this year.
Yep.
They're probably lucky that they've still got Jeremy Cameron, who is playing at quite a high level. And then they've got like DeConing and stuff.
Was he on a big contract there currently?
Who's that? Sorry.
Jeremy Cameron? I don't know.
I'd say he probably, I'm sure he would be.
No, he would have taken a pay cut to go to Geelong. That's how Geelong operate. He would have taken a pay cut.
What's a pay cut though? It's probably still quite high, considering he's probably
but the
at his best one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, so I think they take pay cuts. Anyone to go, the amount of stars that they have, he would have had to.
They have got some young guys that are okay. They just haven't quite got there yet. They've got your Tanner Brewers, your Max Holmes, and guys like that could potentially take the next step. But I just don't think it'll happen this season.
Year. Yeah, no, I don't think they're making the finals either. They're not at that stage.
Yep.
So.
And then the Western Bulldogs, to be honest, like I could actually see them slipping a little bit more.
Yep.
But I think they've got some talented footballers like a Bontempelli and stuff that might be able to win them a couple of games that they might not have if they didn't have a couple of those guys. But
they're arguably one of the best in the league.
But it's still a drop for them regardless if they finish 12th.
Yep.
And then, so I'll just go through the rest now. So the Gold Coast, North, Richmond, Fremantle, Hawthorn, Richmond, Fremantle, North, West Coast Eagles.
Pretty consistent.
Very consistent.
I think you're going to see it pretty consistent with everyone's bottom.
Yep. So Hawthorn for me.
I don't know about that. I've thrown out some speculative ones.
Okay.
Anyway.
So Hawthorn, I have Hawthorn over Richmond because I honestly think that they could be a little bit of a surprise packet. And I know that's finishing 14th isn't amazing, but I still think they're taking the right steps as a club to potentially springboard themselves into the next sort of phase of their sort of premiership window, I guess.
I reckon they will.
So, I really rate Mitch Lewis. I think he's great. He just needs to find health consistency.
Yep.
And then, I think their midfield's great, like your Jai Newcombs and guys like that are really coming along. And then there's even some guys at Hawthorn that I guess you wouldn't say are household names, but Hawthorn supporters would know of them. So I can't actually think of them off the top of my head now.
No, but I know what you're saying. Like they've got those players that they have that not stardom, but they have the potential.
Yeah, there'll be really guys watching this going, "What do you mean, this guy, that guy?" So I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But
I feel like if they all play together really, really well over a few years, because they're a pretty youthful squad, they're going to be a great team together.
Definitely.
When you give it 3-4 years.
What they do have is
I think they'll have a good year.
I do rate Sam Mitchell.
I was just going to say, great coach.
Sam Mitchell,
I think he will be a great coach.
I mean, how smart he was as a footballer. You mean a guy who was, I believe he was a rookie list player when he first.
I'm not sure.
But he just got he became more than what anyone thought from his ability. Like the extractor. I remember that. Just great football mind.
Yep, for sure.
All right, Johnny, you're up. I'm putting it up for the viewers.
Okay.
This is your gut feel ladder.
So I'll just go through team by team. I think Collingwood's, though I think, when I say light and day, I think they are the clear favourites.
Yeah.
Second, Brisbane. Brisbane, a concern for them going into last year was there was two things. They didn't run two ways and the MCG factor. Well, they've got they're defensively minded now. And they lost no fans on the biggest stage, grand final day, and could have won. Watch out for Brisbane this year, because now they've added that to their list. And when the interstate clubs are winning at the MCG, that's where it becomes hard.
If
for
they
everyone
win,
else.
if they can win, they'll take it. Like that'll give them this level of confidence, and they'll take it to another level. They're the sort of team that could win a few premierships in a row. Brisbane.
I mean, that's a different comp, but absolutely, they've got a super talented list. Their midfield's great. They've got a great forward line. Joe Danaher, after a couple of years, sort of, being very ordinary, playing more ruck than to the forward line, I thought was fantastic. Charlie Cameron's one of the most exciting footballers, not just small forwards, in the league by far. And they've got a great crop of young guys. So yeah, Brisbane for me will definitely be up there.
Sorry, did you mention the recruits as well? So like your Duday and
They've got heaps. They've got a lot.
Duday's
of
a
young
massive
people.
get, I think personally. If, like obviously he's coming from injury, but once he actually pulls it together and he gets into that side consistently, that's going to be huge.
They've got the 2-time Brownlow medalist as well. They've got this good crop of experience.
Will Ashcroft.
Young.
Well, yeah.
How good was he last year?
Yeah, unreal.
So they've
I
got
think he's
this.
out for the half a year though.
That's not a good start. Third GWS, I thought they have led by Toby Green. They had a great end to last year, but their finals were awesome. They really could have beaten Collingwood and were the better side for 2.5 quarters and were just pipped at the end. They'll continue to go. Melbourne's an interesting one. Melbourne is a very, very interesting one.
Fourth.
You got him fourth.
Whoa.
They were the best side 18 months ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
They will definitely be there. They've got the list. I don't see them dropping out of the 8. And if they, what Steve May said, if they can get that right, there's no reason why they can't be there.
Okay.
They can't be there. Geelong I'm a little bit more hopeful for. They had a lot of injuries. They had no consistency last year. The biggest one for them was Cam Guthrie. He just finds the footy. I'm a little bit biased to Geelong. I'm just not. Every time you try to write them off, they just come back.
The Golden State Warriors of the AFL.
I was literally going to say that, but then I was like, I'm going to stay on to the.
I think that's all right.
Last time the Cats missed a final, they came back and made a prelim. I don't think they'll make a prelim, but if they can stay on the park, I still think they are in a decline. But I just think with the other sides, they'll be there.
Yeah.
My boy, the Blues, my boys. We had a really good run last year, but sometimes it just happens for 1 year.
So where's this?
6th.
Yeah, okay.
So this is where the ladder predictor will be very different to where Carlton is. I think will be, which I think is more my new thoughts now, but I think Carlton played out of their skin. I mean, we were 3rd last.
You guys had an incredible turnaround in
and
2023.
And if we can get that right and continue to go, did we overachieve? But when I think about it, we should be actually higher because we smashed Brisbane.
And we just squad as well.
But and our list is good. Our spine is fantastic. From the forward line, rucks, backs. We're great by foot off the half back line.
what's your back line? Because you got the Coleman, you got Kerno.
We've got
Wiedering,
Weedering, Doherty, not Plowman. We got rid of
Marchbank.
Oh my God! Did I say Plowman?
You did, yeah.
Oh God!
He said O'Brien too. I heard that.
O'Brien. I didn't say
Lob.
O'Brien.
Stirring, yeah.
I was going to say I did not say him.
So
You've got
delisted, didn't you?
Walsh in the middle.
So Walsh, Cripps in the guts. The only thing that Carlton probably lack is pace.
Kennedy's not the quickest.
Kennedy's not the quickest, but he was good. He's good as a defensive forward, great overhead. And then our forward line, Kerno is one of the most talented footballers in the league.
How good was Blake Acres in those finals too?
Yeah, he was very good.
I think I've watched that Melbourne replay.
I watched that a lot, to be honest, because it was against Melbourne.
But he did it against Sydney as well.
That's the thing too. It wasn't just like a one-off. It was genuinely two great moments in finals history for you guys.
Oh, well, I went to every game and not expecting to win any of them, and beating Sydney, that was enough. Then to beat Melbourne, all right, we're great. And then it was ruined. And that was an experience that you could see with our game plan that we do go missing for periods defensively and mentally, and Brisbane just took advantage of that. I think the key piece for us is Mackay. He's I guess our scapegoat, and it's because of his kicking. Before he got injured, he was leading contested marks clearly. His work rate when Carlton was shit was. You could never question his work rate, and that says a lot about a player. He had the yips, but like Joe Danaher for a few years, who was kicking horribly, he turned it around, and on the biggest stage, almost won Brizzy the game. 3 years ago, Mackay won the Coleman medal, and he was kicking at 60%.
Yeah.
So why can't he do it again this year? And that first half against Brisbane, his contested grabs were as good as any. He just needs to kick straight. If he kicks straight, we're top 4.
Fair enough.
Adelaide, which we've touched on, one of the best offences in the league.
Yep.
I said this 2 years ago when they finished bottom 4. The advantage that interstate clubs have over Melbourne clubs is they have 12 games at home. They get 12 games at home. So from a mental side of things, you can just go, all right, this year we're just winning at home. Let's just be unbeatable at home. That's pretty much what they did. They did lose a couple of games, but it became really hard to win in Adelaide. And this year they can build it. We all know about the post hit against the Swans, the non-call, one of the most, the biggest stitch
Some
ups
say
ever.
that Ben Keys is still celebrating.
So I think they go now. They almost are unbeatable at home, and now they'll start to potentially win a couple of games outside. I think they're the big movers. Port Adelaide dropped for me. I've always been right about Port. I know they made a couple of prelims, but apart from the Richmond one, the Dogs showed what they really are when it really matters. They were flogged. The Dogs are the worst defensive elite side of all time, and they beat them on their home deck. I just think Port lack forward line. See how Ollie Lord comes up. I think Dixon, as big and powerful he is, it gives him structure. He's not it. I disagree on the back line in terms of what they've added. Thatcher's good. Radiclear is one of the dumbest footballers I've ever seen. All Geelong supporters, when they moved him at the start of the year, were saying he's going to be so good. That guy has no one-on-one. He gets pushed off by little guys. He's got no football IQ. He's an athlete. If he gets a run at it, he's great. But his football IQ is actually gross. What Port is those youngsters, which I'm not sure if we tapped on. Barters,
Rosie are two of the best footballers going around for sure.
Absolutely. So from an excitement point of view, they're obviously going to win games at home.
Yeah, Horn Francis.
Horn Francis going to be the most
That's actually
improved player, most improved player this year.
I said I've already made a video, TikTok about it, but I think he will push for an All-Australian selection.
He reminds me of
Nathan Buckley.
Yeah, just his body.
Yeah.
How he kicks the ball.
I think you could tell he was a bit of an idol.
Yeah.
You can tell, like the way
How
he
he
plays
moves,
his footy,
how
the way,
he
even the
moves.
way he like pulls the socks up.
I was going to say.
He's got the old high
The
socks.
high socks.
Yeah.
But I think Port were, because they were doing really well and they did lose a couple of players, but they sort of went in with this arrogance. It was actually against Carlton and they rested a couple. We actually had injuries and we fucking smacked them. You're not good enough. This group has always underachieved. How arrogant to do that. That shows me mentally where that club is.
Yep.
They ain't making top 4. St Kilda, again, like Harley said, it can be very interchangeable. And like the last 2 years, down to 12th or 13th, even 14th is up for grabs. So this could be a change of a side, a win here, a loss there. Saints they really made up the numbers
in the finals.
In the finals, so I think they miss out. The Bombers, so race for 17. I think Essendon, to be relevant, have gone for Goldstein, Ben Mackay. I think Ben Mackay is actually a really good pickup, and
It's the price.
it's just the price. And
Yeah.
what was he on 800, 900?
Something like that. He's like the most expensive defender in the league now. So is he the best defender in the league? Probably
He's not even as good a defender as Mackay as a forward, as his brother is a forward.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
I don't see.
Good on him.
I mean, good. He's
But that's
getting-
that's
know
the
what,
way
though?
with sports, really, that you pay for potential nowadays.
To be honest, we've recruited, aside from Goldstein, pretty young and pretty, not young, but good established players. I think Goldstein will teach Draper a lot. I think he's gonna
Draper
come
is
in,
a
he's
good
gonna-
player.
he's gonna-
I do like Draper.
You like Drapes?
Yeah,
I'm not
I
as
like
hot on
Draper.
Drapes. I'm not going to lie.
I think Goldstein will, because Goldstein went on a run. He went on a tear. Remember anyone who was on Supercoach, you'd see him. He was your bloody ruckman. He was your first ruckman. He was getting close to 200s.
Yep.
From a mentor type
He's
of
just
view,
gonna be great for that.
he's a very
mentor
old-
wise, yeah.
A true tap ruckman who
I
can
don't
run
know.
all day.
I don't know if he's going to get put up forward or down back. I'm unsure.
Goldie?
Yeah. Like
He might not play every week, to be honest.
I don't reckon he will. I
think
reckon it will just
I
be.
think he'll come off the bench and
Yeah.
I reckon
just
player
sort of help
coach.
him
What do you
I
think of Jade Gresham?
I think that's a good pickup. I don't think Essendon has anyone that's at the moment
Soft.
really.
Because he did show signs a few years ago at St Kilda that he could be a player, but then I don't think he's really
But Saints
progressed
have always
that well.
they've always got the small forwards. They've always had that problem of having a lot of small forwards, so it's a hard position to sustain and stay in. Essendon really at the moment don't have.
He can kick a goal.
Yeah.
which I will. But
He kicks his two,
But
his
he's
three.
he's very soft.
I've got
Yeah.
a friend of mine.
But
Am I allowed to
Essendon's
name drop?
Yeah,
Is
go
that a
for
thing?
it. Yeah.
So Rory, he's a mad St Kilda supporter, and he was a big Gresham man until probably a few years ago or a couple of years ago. He was adamant that Gresh should have been used as a midfielder, and he wasn't. He didn't get the midfield minutes, and he thinks that's a big reason why Gresh is now gone. So whether or not Essendon have said
Use
to
him.
him,
Yeah.
we'll use you as a midfielder more so than who knows. He
What
might
comes
be.
in with what? What comes in with Merritt?
Merritt Parish. Parish plays wing back, but yeah, Merritt needs support.
Well, you've got that.
We don't really
You've
have-
got a third potential for a third
did
midfielder.
Parish signed on, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty
How
sure
long
he did.
for?
I
Yeah.
don't know how long.
So I was certain he was going.
Yeah, I thought he was going to Geelong.
I'm
Yeah.
glad he
I
didn't
feel-
go to Geelong.
Do you rate him?
Parish?
Hmm.
I do.
I'm a bit sort of on the fence with him at the moment. I think he's got potential.
So you know who I don't rate, but I love at the same time? Stringer.
I mean, Stringer, he plays good.
He
If-
plays
get him in
good.
a contract
You know
year
what?
every year, and you'll get the best Jake Stringer you'll ever
But
see.
the one thing I love about him, when a big game comes up, his ego sparks up. He needs to feel the crowd, on him,
Yep,
and
he's the
he
package.
performs. Yeah, he's an entertainer. So if we can have more entertainment games where we're coming up against some big sides, he'll perform. It's just a matter of what side. But that's Essendon in a nutshell. You get the hit and miss. The games you should win, you don't win. But anyway, we'll continue through your ad end, Johnny.
Swans. Swans
Swans
are
are
weird.
hard.
They're
Yeah.
weird.
I
because-
reckon Swans could genuinely be the hardest team to rate as
Yeah.
far as where they could finish. They could honestly finish 6th or they could finish 16th.
Well, if they finished fourth, I still wouldn't even they've got some talent there. There's
Yeah,
just
for
something
sure.
missing that I can't pick.
Chad Warner, I don't know about. He's a good footballer, but I don't think he's a great
Earl
footballer.
Grundy had what a year he had.
Yep. So
they've
Errol
got
Gordon,
their. Sorry.
yeah, I
Yeah.
figured that was it.
They're just. I just can't. For whatever reason, I just don't see him making the 8.
Forward line. What's their forward? So they've got
Well, Buddy's gone.
Buddy's gone, but they had that. Who's that young guy that's coming up?
He's got great. He presents really well.
I can't remember his name.
Either can I. I know who you're talking about though.
Yeah. So he was.
McCartan.
There's McCartan's the defender.
He had a good year.
Yeah.
Who's the forward?
Florent? No.
Ollie Florent.
No. That's not it.
Let's just move on. We're not going.
See, that's how good he is, guys. We can't even remember his name.
Oh, the doggies. Doggies like Port Adelaide. I've always been sort of right about. They've got they're great offensively, but they are fucking useless defensively.
Yep.
And whoever their list manager is disgusting. The Dogs haven't had a really good key defender for a very, very long time. They wasted a trade on fucking Rory Lobb. Get a fucking key defender, please. Do you know what?
Rory played better when he had his blonde hair. Sorry to cut you short.
Whatever. They're defensively horrible. And what they should do, they recruited who was the best centre half back in the carnival, who plays forward and he couldn't kick a goal to save his life. He'd be one of the best intercept defenders in the league. Could be another Darcy Moore. Move Aaron Norton back fucking in the back line. Doggies, you're on notice.
Jeez, fair
It's
enough.
ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
seriously,
fair
list man. They haven't had it. When was their last key defender? Dale Morris. And he was undersized.
So, they had that Joel Hamling who played in the premiership side. I really thought that was going to be their defender going long term, and then they traded him.
Yeah.
So,
They have not had a key, and it's glaringly obvious, and it has been there for 20 years. They really need to sort that out, and their stars are getting older
and Jamara might get a big offer from somewhere as well.
from somewhere else. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be banking on Jamara quite yet.
I could see him going to a Gold Coast or
I think Hawthorn have been the
Go to
biggest,
the
biggest movers for him as far as pay wise, from what I've heard.
Richmond. Unfortunately, it's just time to drop. It's an aging list. They had a glory years.
Yep.
3 and 4.
Yeah,
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. And then it's very similar. Like Freo, Gold Coast. I'll never rate the Gold Coast. They do the same thing every year. I think we have the same conversation every year.
I've got a bit of a hot take on Gold Coast.
They're gonna improve,
Yeah, so
and
do
they never do. They never do. And then Hawthorn, West Coast, North. And the only reason I have West Coast over North is purely because I reckon they'll pip a few games at Subiaco. But I think that they're your bottom side.
Yeah, for sure.
They're your bottom side.
All right, we'll jump into mine.
Joshy.
For those who are watching, chuck your gut feel in there. We want to know where you're ranking all the AFL teams for 2024 based on not your predictor and looking at the games going forward, but just a pure gut feel. I start off with Collingwood. I don't see
Across the
anyone,
board, Collingwood.
Yeah, I really don't see anyone.
I could
taking that
see
spot.
I could see people out there thinking that they will drop from first, potentially.
But they'll
But-
still
Well,
win.
how often
But
do
they'll
you-
still win.
but how-
Doesn't
yeah,
matter
and-
even if they top 4.
How often does someone win 2 in a row?
Yeah, it's hard to win.
So
two in
it's
a row, for
actually,
sure.
but every year, most of the time, we go for the team who just won.
Yeah, for sure. It's-
But often the time that isn't the case.
Very true. Then I had the Lions.
Yep.
No surprise there. They were the top 2 last year. Then I had the Crows. Bit of a surprise.
Crows third.
the Crows
Wowee.
So I don't know.
I don't mind it though.
I have a hunt. I don't know why.
They're
this is
offensively
pure,
that good.
I think we're
pure gut
Yeah.
feel. And then you know what? I've got the Port Adelaide. I've got the Adelaide teams.
Can't wait till I'm
third
right on
and
that
fourth.
one. I'm definitely going to be on
it's interesting
right on that
though.
one.
Like I think Port Adelaide are quite
So you're-
polarizing as far as people's opinions.
So South Australia is going to have
I
a good
actually
year.
reckon South Australia will have a good year.
When's
I
the
feel
last
like
time
it's their time?
there was 2 interstate teams in the top 4? I think Fremantle and West Coast. No, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I would never know. I haven't.
Has it
I
ever
haven't-
happened?
Yeah, has it ever?
Yeah, no. In top
Surely.
4. The Brisbane eras, that was happening on the
There wasn't 2 Queensland teams then, no?
Oh, you're saying 2
From the same state, yeah. That obviously outside Victoria.
Yeah, did West Coast and did Adelaide and
Adelaide and Port Adelaide probably have before.
Adelaide and Port Adelaide in 2002.
Yeah, that seems right because
Good memory.
Adelaide would have had
Port finished first because
yeah.
it
They would have
was
had like
well,
McLeod and stuff like that.
what was interesting about the Brisbane era, they never finished first.
Yeah, that's true.
Port will finish first every year.
That's right. Yeah,
But that was the one Adelaide finished.
it's
fourth.
almost a Port Adelaide identity to be really good, finish high, and then sort of not win as many flags as they potentially could have.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they did come up against a very, very strong Brisbane side.
Yeah, everyone fucked around and found out then, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I've never rated it. When I say not rated, they're obviously a good side, but I've never thought they should be in the conversation of winning a granny. Even when they were making prelims in the last few years, they've always been found out.
Now, my top 8 is actually really different to all of yours because there's a
Fuck,
big
here we go.
smoky on this one.
Oh,
I've got the Swans at 5th.
what?
I just
So
have.
I don't call that a smoky.
No, but
I
could
did,
see
to be
that.
fair, I did just say they could finish as high as 6 and as low
Yeah,
as
so
16. So
that's pure gut feel based
Sure.
on the list.
They've
Based
got
on
great
who.
list.
I feel like maybe getting rid of Franklin, they're going to be doing some
They
stuff
played
in the
well
off
without
season.
him. He did choke up that forward line.
I'm expecting an Errol Brownlow smoky from you then.
No,
Nah?
not at all. Then I had Carlton 6th.
Yep.
I actually genuinely
I think that's the
believe
bracket.
That's
for a lot of people.
I think Carlton can finish top 4 quite easily.
At their best, they're finishing top 4 for sure.
But if they serve up what they did
Early.
early and after what they did against Brisbane and go missing, the biggest thing on Carlton is their maturity.
Yeah, I just purely think that they've been a good side. They've got a good list, like you said, and I think it's just time that they can keep consistent, stay in the 8.
They
win
never
their
really
games
drop,
and-
do they, Sydney?
No.
They're always
No.
they're always like a good cultural wise. They're great like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Then at number 7, I had Melbourne, which no real surprise there. I just don't think they're going to be in the top 4. The only, I guess, gut feel that might change that around is these, Sydney, Carlton, Melbourne.
Yeah, the bracket. Yep.
Yeah, that little bracket. Then at number 8, which is a bit of a weird one, Gold Coast. I feel like there might be a bit of that's probably the smoky. But what I will say,
I'll give you my hot take on Gold Coast after you've done your.
I purely think new coach. It's about freaking time. They had Gary Ablett there for a period of time. That did fuck all.
No, that was the worst move getting rid of. So they had Guy McKenna. They were 4th.
Yeah.
And Ablett did his shoulder. And then they missed the finals and then they fired the coach.
They should have made the final still, technically. I mean, Gary is a great player, but
Gary was the definition of a one-band bad. That
really
team was
was.
shit.
yeah.
Gary Ablett was playing superhuman.
He was
That was one of the best seasons I've ever seen. That was better than any of the years he did at Geelong.
Did anyone have him in your super coach when he was at Gold Coast? That was
100%.
fucking crazy.
It was a set and forget.
I don't think Ablett never. When I did play, I don't think he was ever not in the side.
No, for sure.
But yeah, no, Gold Coast for me, I think 8th. What's your take on them, Harley? What
So,
do you reckon? What's going to
The
happen?
Gold Coast have had a bit of sort of fortune fall their way this season in the draft. And the way that the draft is sort of set up at the moment, I genuinely believe that the Gold Coast Suns could be the next dynasty we see in the AFL.
Whoa. Okay, well, that's a good. No, I'm glad I put them in the top 8.
So this year they got, I think it was
Eli,
4.
Clip that.
I think it was 4 this season that they got just purely from the academy that probably would have gone close to top 10, top 15. The players that they've already gotten just through being not that great. So you're like your Noah Andersons, your Rows.
Yep.
They've got a great ruckman at the moment. I don't know if he'll make the dynasty, but he's a great ruckman. You got your King in the forward line, Collins in the back line. I genuinely reckon that there is a chance that they could become one of the next dynasties in the AFL.
We say this every year.
I hope they don't.
Every
I hope
fucking year. Failed experiment.
Jeez.
Continue.
Then I have my boys Essendon at 9th. I just don't think they're going to have enough synergy and enough game time together as a squad. I just don't see them making the finals. I then have Greater Western Sydney at 10th.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Greater Western.
Hang on,
wait,
talking
what?
about?
Yep. I don't feel like they're going to be as good as what they were.
Did you not just
No.
watch the prelim final?
I did. They lost by a point. I'm not saying that. I'm just. I don't reckon they're
Overachieved,
going
he
to go
reckons.
there.
Overachieved.
This is
Achieves one, but not
this is
make
gut
the 8.
feel. This is gut feel.
Fuck.
This is absolute.
Mate,
gut
wait,
feel.
wait till he's
What's the
You know
prediction?
Predict
what?
the ladder.
No, they're a lot higher.
I bet.
But
But you do pick
Gut
the
feel.
games on a gut feel.
gut feel.
You're right, yeah.
You pick when you're doing the predictor. You got to pick the game.
So what,
you
okay,
pick
wait,
your
wait,
gut
wait,
feel.
wait. What? So you've just ruined the whole concept of our whole show.
No,
Thanks,
I haven't.
John.
No, I haven't.
So you're just telling our viewers all these gut feels should be identical to the predictor.
No,
Not
because,
necessarily.
No, because your gut feel is doing it without games. You're doing it without the games.
You just
on
go
a
like,
piece
this
of
team
paper.
played well recently.
Yeah,
so I
you're not
don't-
having a side that arguably should have made the granny, finishing 10th.
But they're going to finish 10th.
Who've got the most valuable
reckon they
player in the league? And then
Who?
they
Toby Green.
What if he has a shit year?
When's he had a shit year?
I'm saying what if?
But when?
I reckon he will.
I still think they have enough talent in that
Yeah,
team.
That team's loaded.
Anyway,
Like
10th.
your Kellys and there's definitely a lot of talent in that list. It's
As I
a
said-
bit of a hot take, that one, I think.
As I said, GWS at 10th on my gut feel.
I thought Port at second for Harley was bad, but fucking.
All right, then I've got Hawthorn at 11th. I feel like
That's
this
a
is
big
the year-
rise for Hawthorn as well.
I reckon that's a year.
I don't
that-
think it's like, it's not as a hot take as,
no,
as
not as
GWS.
GWS.
But you're also genuinely suggesting that GWS or Hawthorn are at a similar level.
Well, they are 10th and 11th.
As far as talent wise,
That's
I think
ridiculous.
I think that's a bit.
That's a bit.
That's a hot take. Yeah.
All right, and then 12th, I've got the Dogs.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty
that's
pretty
good.
consistent across the board.
Yeah.
13th, the Cats.
I can see why people assume think it.
And I think that's realistically after the Cats, the bottom 5 are all pretty much the same. I've got Freo, Richmond, St Kilda, North, West Coast.
Freo are a big slider for mine. I just thought that their off season they didn't really improve their list. In fact, it got worse.
Yeah.
Their ruck division is like they've got two good players.
They spent
So much money.
They did what West Coast did with Tim Kelly. They sold the farm for Tim
two
Tim
ruckmen.
Kelly, and like what have they provided? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Jackson's a great player, but like they sold the world for him.
Exactly. So and then now they've signed. I think they just signed Darcy as well.
Yeah.
So
And they're two.
and that's not to say they're great players, but I just think together it sort of it hurts their team overall structurally.
Well, it's it's the Grundy it's the Grundy
Max.
Gorn
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
they don't play second fiddle.
No.
It doesn't work.
And then they got some good midfielders though. I mean, you've got Brayshaw, Sarong,
yeah.
guys like that. Like they're great, but it's going to be a case of you've got these two great midfielders, but as far as the team's concerned, I don't think they're that great.
No.
Now, I am going to quickly bring up
So
the
and
ladder.
you had St Kilda 16th.
16 St Kilda.
Yeah, I thought that was,
Wow.
Although I don't think they'll make the 8. That's. So you got two big droppers: GWS, St Kilda.
Yep.
Where do you think St Kilda fall off? As
Where?
far as like So St Kilda, I think, are quite balanced as a team. I don't think they have like genuinely great players, but I think across the board, they're a decent team.
But
And
I just look at the team above them, the teams above,
And
I
you
just
don't think
they're better.
But they are coached.
Arguably, the only one that might, sorry to cut you short, Freo would be the only one that maybe is below St Kilda.
Okay. Yep.
But I just have a bit of I just feel like it's about time.
You're underestimating Ross the Boss.
Yeah.
That's that because they're right. The St Kilda list isn't that great, but he's made. You look at those St Kilda sides, take away the top 10. Their depth was disgusting and had no business making grand finals. Immediately, this side's much worse, and he got them playing in a final.
Yeah.
Though I have them 9th, they're one if they did improve on last year. Because Ross the Boss just fucking, he's defensive mind in coaching is unbelievable. Yeah. I can't see them finishing 16th.
Jack Sinclair is probably the most underrated player in the league. Just about as well, I think.
He's number 35, man. He even sometimes runs like Robert
I think it's St Kilda they rate him, but I think league-wide, I think he often gets forgotten about.
Carlton rate him because he always kills us.
Yeah.
Fucking destroys us off halfback.
All right, we're going to jump in quickly. That is our gut feel. What we're going to do is
Joshy, yours was the most controversial.
Oh, absolutely.
That was, wow.
But you know what?
There's a few clips in that.
Yeah.
But I look at the AFL, and yes, it's it's a very consistent sort a year to year. I just feel like this year, I feel like things are going to change. Some players have left, big players in big teams, and I feel like it's a year where things can change it up.
No, I think
coaching.
Oh, something has to
changes.
change. Like big things do have to happen.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
100%. I just think that there's merit, and I hope I'm right. I've made some pretty bold predictions with the NBA and stuff like that, and it's starting to come to fruition. So it's good. Anyway, we're going to jump into the list for the ladder that was 2023, just for those who are watching, just to give context on where we're. If anyone has been watching, obviously go back, have a look, and you can see exactly where we had. But, we had last year, we had Collingwood first, Brisbane second, Port third, Melbourne fourth, Carlton fifth. Yep. Then you had St Kilda sixth, seventh GWS, which are that's what I said, two big sliders in my opinion. Then you have Sydney eighth, Doggies ninth. Then you have Adelaide 10th. I just feel like that's just not where they need to be. I feel like they're going to go higher. Yep.
Well, remember where they finished bottom 4 the year before Adelaide. So they started winning games at home. And this is what the interstate clubs and Geelong have over everyone is if they have a bad year, they can go back to basics and say, let's just win at home.
Yep.
Great. Melbourne sides, Richmond, I guess, do get that. Carlton doesn't because our home games is not fucking Marvel. Don't get that advantage that a West Coast Adelaide do
It's the same as Essendon. We don't get Richmond have the G and you train right next to it. What the fuck? Yeah. Essendon's at the hangar. Why are we at the hangar in Essendon?
Carlton's is...
The fuck sort of advantage is this?
What MCG or Etihad, we train at Visy Park.
Yeah, it's
not
ridiculous.
A home ground.
No,
but that's a different argument.
Essendon
Punt
finished,
Road's king.
Yeah,
okay.
Literally. Essendon 11th, Geelong 12th, Richmond 13th, Freo 14th, Gold Coast 15th. So they're a big rise for me. Hawthorn 16th, North 17th, and West Coast 18th. So for anyone who is watching, our gut feel is there. Now we're going to go through our predictor. So on the AFL website, we all went on and game by game just predicted the winner. John was the only one who did the margin, which would have been interesting to actually see your win-loss and percentage and all that sort of stuff. But I don't care that much.
And that's all guesswork, isn't it? Like how often... Because I never do real blowout margins when you're doing predictors anyway. So,
yeah. We'll jump into yours, Harley.
Yep. So...
Ready when you are.
The noticeable ones were probably, I'd say, like a Port Adelaide finish outside of the 4. Melbourne finish in the 4, which I didn't have on my gut feel. So they're probably the biggest ones as far as the top 8's concerned. St Kilda are out, and I had them in, but it's by what, a position? Actually, no, sorry, St Kilda are in. Sorry, I've got a very small photo here. Everything else is quite similar. The Bulldogs actually had a bit of a slide. As far as where I had the gut feel and where it is here, they're actually below Richmond in 16th.
What I'll do, I'm going to quickly bring that up. So there's Harley's gut feel, and then the ladder predictor.
Yep. So very similar. Fremantle had, I think, and it comes down to that home ground advantage that you were talking about when I was going through those games. And if there was a game against, say, like a North, West Coast, some of those lower teams, or even us, for example, I probably gave them the edge where I probably, when I was doing a gut feel, sort of forgot about that sort of aspect where they win these extra games. They're not a finals team and they're probably not even really that close, but they've gone from, you know, what was it, 16th to 10th.
Yeah.
Potentially, as far as from gut feel to projection. So, and I think that's just about it. Everything else is pretty much the same. Richmond were exactly the same, which I found very interesting. So it just happened to fall that way. And yeah, so that's where it is for me. We won't go too far with that.
Yeah, well, we'll just analyse, you know, what the difference is between.
Mine's completely different.
Maybe we'll analyse yours a bit more.
Completely different.
So this is my one. So the big, obviously, change in mine is Carlton go to second. So when I did my gut feel, I did this a month ago.
Carlton go to second.
So I did it a month ago, and I'm very harsh on Carlton.
Very.
Always have been, and thought there was a bit of me. Did we overachieve last year? Like we went on a hell of a run, but our game plan sort of was exposed, and sort of the mentality aspect. But going through the games, and I think we will learn. I've changed my mind. I think we'll learn. I'm very happy with us. Well, if we finish second, I think we actually will. I think we actually will. Nothing really changes all the way through. Mine's the exact same.
Nice.
Really, I think it's the exact same. And then from 9th to 18th is the exact same. So my biggest change in the ladder predictor, which shows a bit of bias, is the Carlton. But nothing changes there.
Yeah, right.
Nothing changes for mine.
All right, I'll jump into mine. All right, so my predictor, Brisbane go first.
Okay.
Collingwood second, Port third, 4th Adelaide, 5th Sydney, 6th Western Bulldogs, which is, completely different to where I had them previously.
Port and Adelaide. Did you have Port in the top 4?
Yeah, I did. Port and Adelaide
you
was
still
in
have them.
Yeah,
you still have them.
My
in
top
there.
4 were the same. My bottom 4 not bottom 4. My 5th to 8th very different. You had Western Bulldogs.
Carlton missing the finals.
What?
What the fuck?
Yep. That's where I had game to game, went through.
Shit.
This is
What game? I'd love
evaluation.
to see the games that you went against them because I reckon there's a couple there that.
Do you know what? Out of all of them, Carlton is the sort of side that maybe could miss.
The team that never lets you down.
Fucking
Right.
always.
And then, if anyone who's watching, you can see it, but there's no real Saints drop down. Look where they end up.
Saints second last.
Second last.
They ended up
I want to
second
see your
last.
ladder predictor.
This is criminal. You know, the difference is Melbourne ended up 13th. Don't know how that
What
happened.
the fuck?
Don't know how that happened.
Unless Max gone and Truck.
Did you
have both
press
gone.
auto? Did you press?
No, I didn't
Did
actually
you press the
press auto.
autofill feature?
I did it. This
You
is
spent
hilarious.
half an hour to do that for Melbourne to finish 13.
No, I'm not kidding.
That's
Genuinely
fucked.
did that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put my gut feel, and then my
Melbourne
actual.
13th.
That's wild.
That's insanity.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I mean, you're obviously going off a lot of the off-field and cultural stuff.
So they're
and-
going to drop.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just can't.
I don't think.
I can't think you can name 5 clubs that are better than them though. Like 5, like 12.
I guess 2024
like
is
12.
going to show, isn't it? That's the point of it.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's predictions
That's
for a
good.
reason.
Fucking
Because you know what happens now?
controversial.
We watch. I want Melbourne to lose every game, so I hope you're technically right. But you sort of watch it with a little bit of a different. Like, oh, Josh said they were going to lose, and now they're losing, sort of thing. Or
imagine
how wrong were you, Josh? Because they're winning.
Imagine,
I like it.
Imagine if they lose their first 3 games.
Josh is the fucking hero.
Like that does the wisdom
Yeah.
work?
And the same thing's going to happen with me with the Gold Coast now. Whoever watches that, they're going to go, you said the Gold Coast were going to be a dynasty, and now they're shit. It could happen.
It could very well happen. Like, yeah. I mean, it was some controversial changes
I like it, though.
for my one. You
It's
guys are very
controversial.
similar.
Yeah, I think
Controversial.
we had a somewhat similar ladder.
It's very
Yeah.
Port
very,
Adelaide's
very
obviously
similar.
probably one of the big
was
ones.
the sticking point. I think the top 8 was pretty consistent though.
Mm.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, for you guys. Now, what do we who's getting up for the Coleman? Who's kicking the most goals this year? Who do we have?
I think Charlie.
Yeah,
goes-
I've
goes
got it
back
written
to
down
back.
here. I'll bring it up. I had Charlie Kerner.
I had
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah, so
As
that's across the
Charlie.
Nick
board. I
Larkey.
think
And I think
Nick Larkey might. I reckon he might get up and get real close.
Nick
to
Larkey in that sort of side to kick, I think it was 70 goals for the year is incredible.
I think Tex.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that once your team becomes better that you kick more goals either.
well, generally teams get
Agreed.
better by sharing the ball.
Like Jack Rewalt's a great example of that. So in the years that he won most of his Colemans, we were not that good, but he was just kicking goals. So 2010, I think he kicked 60 or 70 goals. Can't remember what it was, but yeah, we were no good that year.
With Fev,
Fev
the year
did well,
the Fev that when he he left, we won our first final because we spread the ball. We had the three amigos.
Wasn't it against him? Did you play a final against him?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. But the idea, that someone kicking more goals and their side gets better, it's probably the load is shared more. They actually pass it off more. I think Tex will be back there. He had a super year last year.
Yep.
And one of the reasons for Adelaide's, revival was because he had a lot of those issues the year before with the racism, and really came back strong. And because he's always been a leader.
Before that racism thing, he wasn't probably playing his best football.
No, he wasn't
As
But
well,
it almost changed him.
Exactly.
But they're probably the three. I
Tex,
guess that would
Nick
look-
Larkey, Kerno. Yeah,
I think Oscar Allen's another probably smoky, maybe. But yeah, as far as winning it, probably not. But if you were having a top 5 sort of, multi or something,
Yeah.
Oscar Allen's a guy you could definitely be confident in. Comes down to that bad team again thing.
What else is there? Obviously, there's the Brownlow. Is there?
Yeah, there's
anything else?
Brownlow, so-
Brownlow's so important. Is there anything else before the Brownlow?
I mean, there's obviously the premiership, but we'll do that last.
Yeah, we'll finish on that. One. It's a good idea.
So my Brownlow medalist is a guy that's come very close a lot of the time. Every time I watch him play a game of football, I'm in awe because I think he's probably one of the best players I've ever seen, and I can't believe he actually hasn't won one, but he's come very close a lot of time, and that's Marcus Bontempelli. I know that Western Bulldogs don't win as many games, but I just think that he's just that good that I think he can still potentially win it, and it's hard to back against him.
No, I thought Bontempelli's like Pendlebury, but he's just bigger, quicker.
He's so much younger than you think too, Marcus.
Yeah, he's got heaps of.
How old is he?
and,
I think he's like 28, 29.
Yeah,
something
see,
like
he's got a lot of years.
And the
left.
way the other dogs are playing, they don't take a lot of votes off him.
Yeah, Bailey out as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not that Bailey takes a lot of Brownlow votes, but just like, extra load in the midfield that he's going to have to take. Jax McRae apparently is just going to be a forward now for some reason. That's
half forward.
he played a bit of forward at the end of last year, which is
Interesting.
ridiculous. I mean,
Interesting.
the one of the worst things about the Bulldogs is probably the way they're coached, to be honest. Like Beveridge obviously won a flag and, they had one of the most historic finals runs. And I think that's overshadowed some of the terrible coaching that the Bulldogs have had over the years.
Well, it comes back to their list management that we were talking about. They're two, different topic, but they're two guys who, for whatever reason, have escaped pressure. Luke Beveridge. And how the fuck is Adam Simpson still coaching? I don't care what the reason is.
Yeah,
They
nah.
have completely... last year was
flags.
probably the worst year in the history of sports.
Yep.
Like, how has he got a job?
It's because he won a flag.
Because he won a flag, but
That's
they've
all
won
it is.
one. They've won one.
Yeah,
That was what, 2019?
2018.
2018, 2016, like half a decade ago.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
No, it's the only logical reason you can really think
But
of.
come on, like 2 win 2 premierships.
Who's
Yes,
won
you can
two?
say you said Adam Simpson.
No. So 16 was Bevo, 18 was Simpson.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry, 18.
So like these guys have
That's
been
the-
irrelevant
yeah.
for over half a decade. Like just move. Like and-
Bevo did make a grand final, but I think it's because they have a talented list, but I don't
Yeah.
think it was like, it comes back to what you're saying. So like defensively, how bad they are running two ways, and they don't really seem to have a plan B. The Bulldogs, when they're getting beaten, they get beaten. And we saw it like that Melbourne run in that grand final.
Well, they
was
were
ridiculous.
They were 3 goals up with 8-9 minutes to go in the last quarter, and they were 5 goals down in 3/4 time.
Ridiculous.
Like that's disgraceful. And
Yeah.
West Coast, I'm sorry, how many games did they lose by 100 points last year?
Yep.
How many?
That was like 5 or 6.
It's a lot.
It was a lot, and they had someone scored 200 against them.
Tanking.
What about the Essendon drug saga sort of team. Remember how they had those band players? Do you reckon they were worse than that?
Oh, when they had the top ups.
I know it's a very, very unique circumstance, but do you reckon they were worse, the West Coast? Because if they are, that speaks volumes.
Well, what's annoying with
Well,
West
wasn't
Coast?
that we had
'cause
all
they
the
still-
top ups from the VFL?
No,
So
that's
the
what I mean. It's very
the top
unique.
the top up team was probably worse, but the annoying thing, West Coast, like look at some of their players.
They had some
Darling,
names still.
Shuey,
Yeah.
Gaff. Like they've just those players have dropped off.
McGovern, yeah.
McGovern, yeah.
Still got a good team.
Just
Yeah,
pressure
on
them.
paper, yeah, they've got
Didn't
some
Nick
names.
Nat, he retired?
He's retired, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harley Reid took his number. He's number 9, which is a very famous number at West Coast.
Who were the
Cousins.
big retirees last year? Obviously, Lance.
Oh, Trent Cotchin,
Koch.
Jack Rewalt.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Big for that's what I mean. Like, I see Richmond definitely dropping off a little
Yeah, I
bit in
think-
that.
I don't think, there's no shame in it. Yeah,
And I think
it is what it is.
I think the next year we'll see, I reckon Hawkins will go from Geelong.
Surely.
Surely.
I'm surprised he's going
I
now,
don't
to be
know.
honest.
Don't know why.
Mm.
Why? He's playing. He's just as fit as he was. He just has to stay in the goal.
I thought he had a slow start to last year, though, didn't he?
He was injured, but when he was on the when he was on the field, he was all right.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised
He's just
if
a
he
big.
retires.
What I mean is, he's a big
He's a
boy.
big
like
boy.
it's a lot of.
Just
I'm
go
sure
to the
his
farm
body-
and retire, mate.
Yeah, it'd be a lot on the body.
It's not like he hasn't achieved anything.
No, how many premierships?
And
How's that,
he's won
2011? Far out.
He's won 3 flags. 2011. He's one of the best forwards we've seen in terms of contested marking.
Yeah.
By far.
Now, obviously, Brownlow.
Yep.
Who
So
you got?
Marcus.
You're
Marcus
Mark.
Bond.
Were you? Oh yeah, that
I
was all
reckon-
about the that was
that
all
was-
about the
that
Brownlow.
was-
Shit, that went.
that was-
That just
that was
kept going.
about
I lost my chain of thought. Went off topic.
I'm gonna go my boy, Sam Walsh.
Nice. I like it.
Sam
Walshy.
Yeah,
Big fan.
Was a bit. I thought he had a ceiling. I thought Sam Walsh was very, and we were speaking off air on this sort of a Trek Cotchin sort of ceiling, which wouldn't be horrible.
Nah.
Um,
That's a Brownlow. Anyway.
but he did win a Brownlow anyway. That last third of the season, in particular the finals, he went to another level.
Yep.
And if Carlton do finish second, as the predictor, Walsh would have to be our best player in the midfield, I believe. And he gets enough of the ball and he gets noticed. He's just a nice guy. You can tell the umpires would vote for him, which can be that can be important. I think
Judgy.
Walshy,
Nice. I've got guy from Collingwood,
Nick Dacos.
Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
No doubt. I feel like.
And if
that's
he wins
unfortunate.
that, I don't think anyone's.
I think we're arguably witnessing one of the best that will do it. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of time in the game, and he's only had 2 seasons, so
And he's still the runt of the Dacos litter.
Crazy. That play, so the play he had in that grand final, so like Brisbane had just kicked a goal, right? And they had all the momentum, and then they clear the ball from the centre, and then a few things happened, and then the ball comes out to Nick Dacos, and in a split second, grand final, last 5 minutes, grabs the ball in midair, handballs it to Goey, Goey kicks a goal.
Yeah.
It's probably underrated as far as one of the best grand final moments that I've ever seen. As far as the composure to be able to do it, and then to execute it as well. So
he kicked the first goal. Didn't he kick one of the? Oh no, sorry, not one of the. He kicked a crucial goal, I think, at the end of the siren at the first, or in the first. He was in the first quarter.
Kicked the first
He
goal,
kicked the
didn't
first
he?
goal,
He
didn't
kicked
he?
the first
Yeah,
goal,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a pressure moment, straight out in front. Very easy to get the yips.
Yep.
You put Ben Mackay in that situation, he's fucking.
Ben Mackay's not having that shot.
Harry Mackay.
Harry
Did you mean
Mackay.
Harry?
Oh my God, we've
Yes,
got Ben. Sorry,
yes.
I've kept that just
If
imprinted.
Ben's having a shot, you're
From-
in.
yeah, we're
you
in
know,
strife.
Essendon are
He'd
getting
kick it better than his brother, though.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, they both
now-
kick
no,
like
sorry.
defenders.
Well, Harry's won at Coleman, but I feel like with the yips today that Harry
I don't
has.
think Ben's doing anything.
No, but anyway, yeah, Nick did kick the first. That pressure straight through the middle.
Do you guys do your Coleman?
Yeah, we did. We
Yeah, Charlie Kerr.
No, you did Kerno as well.
I did Kerno.
We all did Kerno. That's right.
Yeah. There was nothing fun about that one.
Yeah, I know. We moved on pretty quick. I
It
forgot.
was just like, and then we started talking about the top 5 because it was that simple.
That's right. That's right.
Who's getting up and taking the premiership of the AFL
Am I starting, am I?
2024?
So I picked this team last season and I was sort of scoffed at a bit by a lot of people. and I'm going with them again this season. I'm going with Carlton.
Whoa. Oh, shit.
Yep.
I don't, yeah.
I got two answers.
Well, you can't have two.
I can.
If this happens, then this, and then this
Fuck, it's
happens,
like
that.
gut
Is
feel
that where we're
and
going?
predictor feel. And
I think Collingwood are the best side, and they have all the makings of a dynasty side. I think they are the best side in the comp. But we're going the fucking Blues. The Blues for the Premiers.
Let's
Fucking
go.
let's do it.
Let's
Blues
go.
2024. Fuck it.
I almost want to change my answer because I've just realised that it is the race to 17 premierships and the two top teams will probably be Carlton and Collingwood. I feel like I'd love a smoky like Port or Adelaide to come in.
Well,
but
they're not
don't-
smokies, and according to your ladder.
No. According to my ladder, I think I reckon they'll be there, but I reckon Port would be able to take it further. I strongly believe Collingwood will win this year. I just the way that they're playing, if they can just manage, I think they love creating thriller games. It's like they have earpieces in, and the coach says, guys, make it entertaining, get the crowd in, like fucking keep watching.
Yeah.
We'll leave it to the last minute, and then we'll score.
No, that's
And I think they just know how to come home clutch. They've got such a good list. Like from start to finish, you just look at their starting 22 or their starting 18 and then their bench and go, what the heck? Their subs and everything that they've got are just ridiculous. So
they've got.
can't see them going.
To that point, all the dynasty teams were good at this. Richmond, Hawthorn, Geelong. I remember when Geelong were at their peak, they couldn't lose. They almost couldn't lose the close ones. It was almost like they would fall over the line and win. And Collingwood if you look at last year and then the year before, how many times were they down and just came back and won?
Yep.
Like their ability to win, and people said they'd get found out. Well, they did against Sydney 2 years ago, but this year they went further. So I agree with that, and on paper they should win it.
Not even on paper. They've come off. They've won. They're going to have the confidence. Craig McRae's going to have the confidence.
That's what on
and
paper
it's
means.
just
That's what on paper means.
Imagine a Carlton Collingwood grand final.
It'd be the biggest game of all time
It would be.
by
I
far.
think, but because of the period of time that it hasn't happened as well, for
I
it to
wanted
happen now,
last year.
16 flags. It would
Yes.
be the biggest game regardless.
the AFL would love it. For
The
sure.
AFL need to market the shit out of
AFL's
that.
wet dream.
Yeah.
Sorry for the inappropriate reference. No one's watching anyway. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
I'll watch it later.
Who is watching, please chuck your Brownlow, your Coleman, and who you've got to win the AFL Premiership for 2024. It's an exciting year, in my opinion.
Are we all the same for the Rising
you.
Star?
I'll be honest, it's probably good for John out of everyone. Like
Yeah.
Harley and I sitting here. Harley's Richmond, I'm Essendon.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
there's
think it's gonna be
pressure
that.
on us this year. This is
Oh, for sure.
How does Carlton deal with the pressure?
Yeah.
That is
I
a
don't
massive
think so
question.
because you guys finished sixth.
Yeah, but we made a prelim.
But what I'm saying is good on you guys for getting there.
No, of course, but
I don't think that's pressure. I think that's learning.
hang
That's
on.
fucking
In
great.
life, you
Yes.
have to get better. Carlton are going to be under the most pressure this year out of any club.
Oh.
Carlton
Nah.
when they would finish 10th,
No
would
way.
be under pressure.
Brizzy's
We were-
definitely
I think
under
as far as a
pressure.
fan base is
because-
concerned,
hang on.
No
we're
way.
we're a big Melbourne club. We're a big Melbourne club.
Collingwood.
They
have
won.
pressure.
They won.
Yeah, but they have pressure.
But not Carlton have a much bigger, more pressure.
I'd say that Brisbane would be
Yeah,
pretty close as well.
But
Brizzy's
they are not a
definitely.
Melbourne. The
They're
Melbourne
not,
clubs get more pressure
No, they do for sure,
by far.
But I don't
That's
think
not even
Brisbane
what
are
I'm
far
talking about.
behind.
Yes,
for sure.
but
'Cause
Carlton
just how far they've
Carlton
come.
are going to be. Their pressure is now we succeed. Don't go backwards.
Because it's not like we're the only ones that are saying that either. I think Kane Corns came out not that long ago and said he thought Carlton as well,
Yeah.
and like a few people are coming out.
How do
saying
we
Carlton
deal with
now.
that? How do we deal with that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
It's not a common thing either.
Okay.
for,
No.
like recently anyway.
But yeah. Well,
We were under pressure last year and we finished 9th. Like fuck, what do you think happens when a prelim?
well, you are.
And
you've
we were
got such a
5
big
and
fan base.
we were 5 goals up.
Do you have what? You've got one of the biggest fan bases
We're top
in
4.
Melbourne.
We'd be top 4.
Yeah, easily.
You'd be Collingwood, Essendon, interchange that, Richmond.
Yep.
Carlton.
For sure.
Yeah, that's I genuinely, I mean, I definitely think you've got pressure, just not as much as Collingwood and Brizzy.
Collingwood won. Their pressure's off. Doesn't matter.
But they're such a good side.
But it doesn't matter.
Everyone's
Like,
gonna accept-
no, but they've
expect
won.
them.
Well, Josh, they've won. Like, the pressure's in the media. Like, they're not speculating, it's there. Like, Carlton are under the pressure. Then it's Brizzy, because Brizzy have to win now.
I think as far as if you're going to gauge it, like who's the most, it definitely is Carlton. I don't think I get what you're saying, and Collingwood
just
going
think
back to back is pressure, but I don't think it's as high as
So
Carlton.
I think Brizzy going
And
as high
Brisbane
as
as
they've
well.
gone.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you guys shouldn't have gone to where you went, Johnny. That's what I'm trying to say.
But the pressure is a tangible thing that you can see in the media what they're talking about.
Yeah, take the media
And it's
aside,
but it's Carlton.
You're 3/4 away from a grand final, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Carlton are under the pressure this year. There's we can't hide about it.
Don't fuck it up, Carlton.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk
I
about?
was going to
Is
say
there-
rising star, but I feel like it's going to be the same across the board. I think it's just going to be Harley Reid, right? As long as he plays every game or plays enough games, it's just going to be Harley.
I honestly hadn't even looked into
I was
it. but-
waiting for your bomb.
Is it what I mentioned earlier?
Yes.
So it's not on the AFL, it's on the NBA. So I'll give the outro and then I'll say it, I reckon.
What was that?
Do you want me to say it now, or do you want to outro the footy stuff and then I'll just quickly go with the basketball stuff?
No, well, that pretty much wraps up all the AFL
That's our
stuff.
prediction. So let's.
We'll get into the next segment. Harley's got a bombshell he wants to reveal.
I don't want you guys to
Pull it up.
rebuttal though. I want you to sit on it.
Okay.
So
No rebuttal.
no rebuttal.
Just chill.
And I'm going to make a video about it on my channel.
This is good.
Jason Tatum isn't a top 5 player, and he never will be a top 5 player.
Thank you for coming to Sports with Dummies. Like, subscribe. Ring the bell.
The fucking bell. Thank you, Harley.
Thank
Harley
you, Harley,
Sports
for
Talk,
coming.
YouTube and TikTok.
Yes. So what do they have to write in? It's
Harley's with the S and the little thing above it.
apostrophe.
Yep.
Yeah. No, is that yeah? Apostrophe.
And then sports with an S, and then talk.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. As John said, like, subscribe, ring the fucking bell, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys.
Wow.
Thanks, guys.
Oh.